Hello, everyone, and welcome to our very special A Collider original, Stranger Things spoilers review, finally. So we've got a great panel to talk today. You guys asked, and we are delivering. So just a fair warning, if you are not caught up on all 8, come on guys, it's 8 episodes, all puny little 8 episodes of Stranger Things, and you do not want to be spoiled, this is not the review for you. Was TV Talk a spoilery one?
We did talk spoiler reviews on TV Talk, but we'll just go a little more in depth.
All right, don't watch that one either. But if you are looking to avoid spoilers, but fair warning, you have been warned. So there you go. Joining me on this lovely panel to my right, my Collider Nightmares bestie, Miss Perry Nemiroff.
I want to keep this lower third for the rest of my life. I just want to post that everywhere.
Man.
Isn't that great?
Have you guys seen the one that says mozzarella sticks?
Yeah, that was amazing.
And my favorite mozzarella stick to my left, Mr. Josh McCouga.
Wow, that was my nickname back in 1997, the old mozzarella stick McCouga over here.
And to his left is my other Collider Nightmares bestie, Mr. Mark Riley.
Hi, everyone. Let me check it out. Look at that. I want that too. I want my lower third this all the time because, I mean, guys, Stranger Things. This is it.
Here's what we all need to do. We all need to, on our individual cameras, just pose.
Little screenshot.
And now I didn't look at my, yeah, okay. So, oh no, it doesn't have my name on it. That's okay next time. This is live.
Oh,
No, there it is. There it is.
There you
Go.
go.
Okay, let's do it. Everybody do it.
Okay, that's mine.
Go to Perry. There you go. There you go. There you go.
Nailed it.
Okay.
Yes.
And perfect.
And
Got
now
it,
we
got
all
it,
have
got
our
it.
social media
Yes,
avatars for
you're
the
welcome.
rest of the
Right
year.
on.
Hey, guys, great review, by the way. Really good stuff.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Josh,
everybody.
aren't you so glad that you tuned in to watch this? It was a very constructive use of your time. So, all right, guys, let's enough of these shenanigans.
Yes.
Let's get serious.
Good.
Stranger Things, you guys. All right, so now this is a series where it came from Mark and Ross Duffer. They had been staff writers on Wayward Pines previously and made one feature film before this, and they kind of came out of nowhere in a way and pitched this really amazing. I mentioned it on Collider Nightmares last week, but when I visited the set of Stranger Things earlier this year in Atlanta,
Ooh, good for you.
oh, so
That sounds awesome. Go on more.
Drop. So they told me actually that, they're huge Stephen King fans, which I think is very obvious when you watch the show, but they had initially pitched the WB for It to do Stephen King's It, and perhaps their take wasn't necessarily going to jive with the studio's take, but I think the main takeaway point from that conversation with them was, look, we want our kids, this is not necessarily a kids show, but it is going to be led by kids. And for a major studio, that was something that was a head scratcher.
Much like the movie Kids.
And now they regret it.
So basically what we got is an 8-episode, they like to call it a novel, really. They call them chapters instead of episodes, first series. And guys, I'd love to hear, your just initial reactions right off the bat, because I think we're all fans here.
Oh, yeah.
So for me, this is teetering along the edge of what I will and won't watch, right? Anything more scary than this, I'm out. But this really had more of a nostalgic feel for me than it had a scary aspect. Were there points when I jumped? Absolutely. When you first saw the monster and the no face thing and whatever the case may be with the monster, definitely very scary. But I thought it was so well done with the youth and the townspeople, and that whole thing really took away from the general fear factor of it all and brought me into back when I watched E.T. for the first time,
Right?
Yes.
or watched Goonies for the first time, because this really had that feel. And I've said this before on many a show, wherever the case may be. If I had 1.21 gigawatts of electricity and could go back in time, I would go back to be a frat guy in the mid 80s. So I love anything 80s culture, all the wardrobes, and what the kids were doing, the music, the cassettes, him talking about having an Atari at the end of the movie. I thought they really hit a lot of those great 80s moments so well in this show.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
that's exactly what I got from it. This is a loving love letter, but it is a love letter to the 80s and all these movies that I grew up with. E.T., Poltergeist, Jaws. These movies I see all over the place, from the little Easter eggs, the posters in the rooms. It's like the Duffers were like, here are the movies that this was inspired by. Here's your Jaws poster in one shot. Here's your E.T. poster in another shot. Here's Evil Dead poster in another shot.
That
and
Evil Dead made a lot of appearances.
Yeah, I could see it all there. I mean, from Poltergeist even. I mean, it did. It brought me back to being a kid, and it reminded me of seeing E.T. in the theater. It reminded me of my dad sneaking me in to see Poltergeist. And the kids just knocked it out of the park. I did a review with Mark for the Schmoes. I kept calling it a movie. Yeah. I kept calling it a movie. I'm like, sorry, I know this is a TV show. I forgot. Yeah. It's that good.
And the Duffers would agree with that. In addition to these chapter episodes, chapter 1, chapter 2, or whatever it is, they have also said that they see this as an 8-hour movie, essentially.
Yeah,
and I think
perfect.
mission accomplished. All right, Perry, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was kind of processing this like a movie. And I mean, now after I say this, I'm going to think of a show where this statement does apply. But at this very moment, I can't think of a show worthy of a binge watch or tailor-made for a binge watch quite like this. Like when I think about this, I process it like I process a movie, and I'm not thinking about individual episodes or remember when that happens within the context of that one episode arc. It's just something that so seamlessly flows from one episode to the next. And because of Celebration and Comic-Con, it felt like I was late to the game, and late to the game right now is, like a week.
Yeah.
And when that happens to me, I tend to be like, I'll like it, but whatever. Yeah. Oh my God. I got home from Comic-Con and one after the next, and I was just so freaking happy. And in the end, my heart was broken when it was taken away from me. But at the same time, I love where it ends so much. Mm-hmm. It's so pure, and it's really weird to me because I can't think of a single show off the top of my head again right at this very moment where every single character's arc and every single plot works. Yeah. I mean, there are so many characters in this where
there's
at the
only
beginning,
one that doesn't, and I'll bring it up later, but there's only one
I
that
have
doesn't.
a feeling I know where this is going.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I can't think of a single character right now so there were a couple in the beginning where I'm like, oh, they're going to be a throwaway. They're going to disappear within X amount of episodes and I won't care. And some do disappear eventually, but even the ones that do disappear in the beginning, they still mean something special to me in the end. They're still well developed and they mean something for the overall arc of the show. This is just so well done down to the tiniest detail that mind blown.
I will say that this was probably the easiest binge on Netflix I've ever done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Easy. Even though each episode was an hour, didn't feel like that. I'm sitting around on a Saturday and we're getting ready to go do a couple things, and all of a sudden I was on episode 7. I was like, this is almost over?
Yeah.
Holy cow. It was so quick. And I think it was mostly because it never felt like it stopped.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Even when because you were constantly on a journey, even though the journey might have just been in the one kid's house at points or in 2 houses or whatever the case may be, it never felt like it stopped because even though they weren't really per se on the run, it felt like they were on the run.
Yeah, there's a constant momentum here. And I think what you're seeing is, and the Duffers have talked about this too, with Netflix, your episodes don't have to be 44 minutes. Mm-hmm. They don't have to be 28 minutes if you're doing a half hour. They can be as long or as short as they need to be. And I think what you see from that is concise, effective storytelling. I wanted to ask you guys, because the nostalgia thing has come up a lot. A lot of viewers really love it. Some viewers are a little critical of it. And I put it to you guys, do you feel like this show is too nostalgic? Because I would argue that, yes, there is a lot of nostalgia built in. Absolutely. However, this is not...
how you British say nostalgia.
Oh, how do you say it?
Nostalgia.
Oh.
Is Clark British?
That's the frat boy way to say
what
it.
you're talking about.
I'm Clark Wolf.
I've just been practicing my non-regional dialect.
Nice.
No, but I think that this is a show that has a lot of head nods, admittedly, but it stands on its own. This is its own story, right?
Yes.
Or do you guys feel differently?
No, it's so funny because I've heard a lot about that, and it's so fun. When I watched this and binged it, I was trying to, I'm like, what am I seeing right now that is pulling out of me? Okay, is it E.T. or is it Stephen King? No, is it Poltergeist? Is it I couldn't quite get it straight in my mind. They nailed it. It is a fine line that they nailed so much with this that I don't see it being overly nostalgia. I feel like they took their influences and then they did their thing.
It's so weird to me that like at midpoint of like episode 2, I was like, if he friggin' puts Reese's Pieces in the forest, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Right?
But like, because it's so close at points to so many movies, but they never cross that line.
Exactly.
Into
There's
being
that
like,
line.
the government shows up and they put them all in a weird, you know what I mean? The government does show up, but they outrun the government. And they're on bikes and like, they're gonna make the bikes fly. And then they flip the van. I mean,
the truck flip was so great.
That was amazing.
That was so awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty much the perfect balance for me. While I was watching it, yeah, I knew what movies they were pulling from, mainly because everybody had written an article about it at one point or the other. But I was never thinking about that really in the moment. And it's pretty much because the story and the mythology and the characters are so strong. But then after the fact, after I was done with it, and I saw on your Facebook post that, what was it, like a 15-minute video?
Yeah.
It was a morning where I was rushing to write Collider News scripts, and you know what? I clicked play, and I couldn't turn it off, and my scripts might have been a little delayed because
You
of that.
bad
but
girl,
I couldn't
Carrie.
stop, and I just appreciated a whole new level of it because of, and I mean, they're very precise nods to specific movies where, you know, that level of detail and thought, that pays off when you wrap it into a story that's so well thought out like this.
Apparently, the only thing that they messed up, and I have to give credit to Robert Meyer Burnett. He came in, he's like, I loved it. The only thing I didn't like about it were some of the songs and the music came out in like 86 or 87 or 88. And the movie took place in 83. Or, I mean, the movie, I just did you.
See?
Stranger Things supposedly took place in November of 83, in Christmas of 83. So there were some like musical inconsistencies, but I don't know music that well.
Yeah,
And for that to be
me.
the only complaint,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, my girlfriend's beautiful, but she's got a weird big toe. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like that's the
Your girlfriend does too?
That's weird. It's weird. Man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So, all right, now we've talked about the things that we loved here, but with any positives, there have to be some negatives as well. Did you guys have anything in particular that didn't quite work for you?
I wonder what it is.
All right.
Do you know what? Because I've talked to you about it, right?
I saw you both do your little performance before. I think I'm very
I mean,
well aware of what it
Winona
is.
aside, Winona took me out of a lot of things.
Sure.
I feel like we should do you want to do it,
No,
Winona?
Oh,
I think
come
we should
on.
do it.
Okay. All right, are you ready?
Oh my God. Are we
I'm
going
gonna
to?
lose it.
I'll do the cigarettes.
Okay, here we go.
What? No! You can't! No! She's my son! No! I don't even want to tell him! She's gonna hit him!
Listen!
He's on the wall!
Listen!
Tell! You can see the lights!
Sorry.
That was very good. It was worth it, right? Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. But by the way, that
Andy-
was lovingly because I actually thought she was wonderful and very sincere. But go
maybe,
ahead.
maybe I'll have Cody videotape me running like Winona later, and we can put that in somewhere.
Oh, yeah, we
But,
put that out there.
I love
yeah.
how that ended with a hop.
Yeah.
No, hop.
That was hilarious.
Okay.
Okay.
Hop, you did that. That was really
Yeah.
good.
You know, I got a lot of talents. I got a lot of
So the only thing that took me that I at the end of the movie I kept thinking was like, what was the friend's
End of the
name?
movie.
Barbara?
Did you hear that?
Barb.
Barb.
I kept thinking like end of the movie.
End of the
God
movie.
damn
I
it.
keep going. I
We're-
love
it's
this.
a movie, you
End of the
guys.
show.
It's an
Yeah.
8-hour movie.
Okay, go on.
Barb, you never saw her parents being like,
Yeah.
"Where's my daughter?" Her parents were just like, "We got it. Let's go to Cabo." And Barb's out. We have
Yeah.
one more kid.
Poor
Yeah.
Barb. Barb
That-
really got the short end of
Even
the
the
stick
friends were
here
like,
in
"Oh,
Hawkins.
hey, by the way, Barb's still gone." They're like,
There was Sasha posted something on Twitter today that there was like a painting
Yeah,
of like
mural.
Barb missing. Like, where was this? I don't know. But yeah, that's an inconsistency that I keep going back. I'm like, wow, they never. I know we got a resolution that she didn't make it.
Yeah.
And that was a disgusting and very shocking and wonderful moment for the stakes in that thing.
Right.
But when I just want to touch on Winona because she was rubbing me the wrong way the first two. I would say 2, maybe 3, and then I fell in line with her, and I thought she was fantastic.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I mean, even with the cigarettes and all that kind of stuff, I was like, she's at the end of her rope because her son is somewhere in the wall. I mean, it was amazing. So.
Yes, I want to echo that sentiment just real fast because I feel like, you know, there's always a mom in the 80s movies that's super put together. But then there's
Right.
the mom in the 80s movie that is not put together. The kid who's from the wrong side of the tracks, whose house isn't as nice.
Yeah.
Whether it's, you know, and maybe you don't maybe see them as much in these classics. I think of like Corey Feldman's character in Stand By Me. His dad is abusive. We know that. Like,
Right.
there's always a kid that's parents are a little better off and then not so much. And so
It's the whole point of the movie The Breakfast Club.
absolutely,
Right,
yeah,
right.
that's a great point. That's a great point. But I think I just want to be clear because even though I made a silly impression, like
No,
I thought she really.
Silly. It was perfection.
Even though I made a perfect impression, thank you, Josh. No, I think that she really showed up. I thought this was a departure for her, and
Yeah.
I felt those moments where she was with Will. Like those were some of the things that I liked the most. When she sneaks into the fort and says, "I got us Poltergeist tickets," or
Yeah.
like stuff like that. I liked her performance. So I love you, Winona, and I bow down.
Well, yeah.
I feel like we need to do 11 impressions. You ready?
Oh, sure.
Ready?
I'll do the sound effect.
I'm laughing now.
Perry, you are one intimidating
How
Elle.
great is Millie Bobby Brown, the girl who plays Elle?
Oh, yeah.
She's wonderful.
She's great. Wait, just to defend Winona a little bit. So I've been describing her performances. Yeah, she sticks out like a sore thumb a little bit because everyone else feels very natural and grounded, and her performance is so heightened compared to everybody else. But she's a mom who
Exactly.
just lost her kid.
And
See-
who knows her kid is still alive. This is the thing I
would
love.
drive you crazy.
This is the poltergeist. This is
Yes.
the mom, right?
Yeah.
This is,
Exactly.
This is the mom who goes, I am not giving up. My kid is in the other world. I know I sound crazy, but you have to believe
And it's
me.
like realistically, even though she's so over the top compared to everybody else in the show, in real life, God forbid, like another mom would be like at a 15 compared to Winona's 11.
I just know for a fact that
I give her a pass.
When I
Yeah.
I cracked my head open in a pool when I was 10, and my brother said my mom like clear her little family on a picnic blanket to get to me.
Totally.
So I can only imagine what my mother would do if I was kidnapped by a wall monster.
Right, that's the thing. And could you imagine, really? I mean, I'm being serious because this is one of my favorite parts of horror. Could
Yeah.
you imagine having to explain to somebody, I know I sound insane, but this is actually what happened? I would be a frazzled, crazy lady too.
Well, and to see her evolution of
More
that,
frazzled,
he's
crazy.
gone. Like where do they go? She goes to the chief, and it's like, well, where else does he go? And it's like the worst thing that happened here is an owl came and took somebody's hair. To that, to then setting up the phone and like hearing his voice, to then setting up the lights as a communication
So
tool.
cool.
That brought freaking tears to my eyes when she starts communicating with them, and then it run, and I'm like, oh, this is the greatest show of all time.
So good. I'm busy like searching for Stranger Things shirts right now, and one of my favorite is one that says Hop's got it under control, or Hop can
yeah.
handle it.
Good.
Because seriously, that guy can do anything.
he's great.
He is so fantastic,
In
and I feel like
everything he does,
Yes.
he's like
And,
is
you
a
know,
vision.
He's one of those
think I'm a man
guys
crush.
where I feel like he's not a household name in any respect.
Yeah.
But you're like, where do I know him from? So, like, dear God, let this be his
Breakout.
catapult to
I hope
stardom.
so.
But you brought up Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
She is so great in this. 'cause
Right.
It's such an understated performance in a way where she really doesn't have all that much to rely on in terms of dialogue. It is a look on her face, and that's just about it.
Yep.
Paired with flashbacks, and you could totally see everything she's gone through on her face at all times. I think all the kids are great,
Yeah.
but I loved the kid who played Lucas,
Oh, yeah.
Caleb McLaughlin. I
is that
think
the
is
kid with no teeth?
no,
No.
that's the other kid.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
He's he
Shows a
he
little
just
passion.
he had a couple of scenes where they're very dialogue driven scenes, and like especially when he's going back and forth with 11 where they're not getting along.
Yeah.
That is like an A+ child actor performance right there. Not that any of the others don't do well in any given scene, but he stood out to me in a number of scenes.
And to that point, I kind of, because look, you think back to Stand By Me, Goonies, all the E.T., all these movies that we know and love. All the kids are very likable, even the ones who aren't likable.
Sure.
And I liked that Lucas was. I'm not saying he's not likable. I thought he was wonderful, but I'm saying I liked that he was like, no,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be mean. I'm gonna stand up to you because guess what? Sometimes kids are mean, but he has this beautiful arc and coming back and saying, I'm sorry I was mean. You're still my friend. We
Yeah.
are all a team. I just love that so much.
He
Yeah.
also had his reasons too.
Totally, super valid
that's,
reasons.
That's part of the reason this whole concept works as well, because everyone's not like, all right, there's a monster, let's go like do our thing and save the day. You have that other perspective present throughout almost the entire series, where people have to come to terms with it. So there you go, it paves the way for all of us to believe it as well as outsiders.
I will say, if we're staying like in the casting talk here, I thought that the sister was super well cast. Looked like a young
She was
Emmy,
great.
and
Yeah,
looked at,
yeah.
like a young Emmy Rossum, right?
Oh, right.
And I thought she teetered on that line. Everybody knows one of their high school friends that was like the nerd, and then got pretty, and the popular boy liked him, and they like kind of crossed whatever. But I also like that. Steve Harrington, who was kind of like, I kind of associated with that dude. Like, I was a nice guy that got along with everybody, but there was also, I know, like a portion of my school that probably thought like I was just some dumb jock. But I also like that they didn't like make Steve Harrington like, I'm gonna bang her and then I'm out. Like, he actually cared about the sister. I thought that was so flip on what every 80s movie would have done.
And you thought it was going there too.
Correct.
I thought it was going there, and then for him to come back around, I thought I even worried that he was going to die.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you know what? I don't want. He was a jerk sometimes, and then I'm like, no, please don't die.
And
Please
that
don't
was
die.
a happy casting accident. I texted a friend of mine who was the publicist on this show down in Atlanta, and I was like, "Who plays Steve? Because this kid is amazing." And
He's
she
really
said
good.
he was supposed to be a 1-2 episode character, gonna not do much, kind of written off the show, and they just thought he was so good
That's
that they
great.
wrote him this arc. And I agree with you, Josh. For a show that subverted so many tropes in a lot of ways and played by some of the rules and then broke a lot of them, this was one where I was like, it was kind of like Jake in 16 Candles. Jake is a good dude.
Yeah.
And like, he likes Molly Ringwald, and he brings her birthday cake because he's a good dude. And that was my biggest thing was, I maybe this is kind of sappy, but I love how all these kids are good kids. Even if they make mistakes, even if they make, they hang out with some jerks, even if they whatever, they're real teenagers. And at their core, they're good kids.
You can even say the same about Charlie Heaton,
Definitely.
who plays Jonathan. He's almost like the flip of the other character, because whereas he's like the bad boy who then does some good things, he's the good kid who he just took pictures through someone's bedroom.
Yeah.
And they don't just brush over that like, oh, no big deal, happy accident.
Right.
You do kind of feel the reverberations that's a very creepy thing for him to have done.
Right. And I don't know, this is totally off subject, but did any of you guys get like an Edward Furlong look off that kid?
Yeah.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
definitely a little bit of
Absolutely.
Edward Furlong, yeah.
So we tried to talk about things we didn't like, but guys, we haven't been doing a very good job.
it's-
What are before we wrap up, because we've got like 8 minutes, 5 minutes. What are I know there's
8
so much.
minutes, 4 minutes.
Oh, whatever.
I
But-
want to name drop every
Do it.
single person on this
Oh,
cast.
I know, because everybody
Yeah.
deserves
No, you
it.
take that back. I'll be
I
here
think-
forever.
Go ahead.
No, but I was just gonna say, was there anything that stood out that didn't quite work? For me, I wanted more. I wanted a better monster. I like the monster, don't get me wrong, but I wanted something a little more, like I didn't want a guy with no face.
Do you know what that monster reminded me of?
Tell me.
Those stupid monsters.
Resident Evil.
No.
That's a good one.
X-Men Days of Future Past. Those like the mutant things that open, that like open their face and just like blew
The
out fire.
Sentinels.
The Sentinel monsters.
I think it was
Oh.
that he had no face.
Yeah.
That kind of was a little bleh to me. And I don't know, but I
The-
always want monsters to be scary.
You know, like a
the-
Venus flytrap a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, the only thing for me in that regard, so the monster ultimately worked for me, but before we actually got to see it, there's that great shot in the woods where before Will is taken, where he's riding his bike, and then you see that shot. That's when I actually probably got hooked because it was just so well done. And then I don't know, I had a different vision of it in my mind. So when I ultimately saw it without that face, it opens up. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
and just moved on,
Right,
because I'm
right.
like, okay, it's that thing. But
It's sort of like the monster in Signs. You
Yeah.
see it walk by and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, that was a cool effect. And then
Yeah.
it actually shows up in the living room and you're like,
But I did think he paid off in the final scene in the classroom.
Oh, yeah.
He was terrifying. Like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
really showed up to be scary. So
Yeah.
good job, monster.
I didn't have a single problem with the monster the entire
Nice.
time. I liked it, and I think they built up the mythology and the backstory of the monster well enough. I kind of expected it to progress and to be shown to us the way that it was. And, the kids were so scared that their horror
They
was
sold
palpable,
it.
so I just bought into that, and I was perfectly fine
You
with
know
the
what
way
I
it looked.
did like about the monster was that they shot at him with machine guns and all kinds of guns, and he was basically invincible to guns. But it wasn't like they made that a big plot, because
Yeah.
they could have in a lot of monster movies like this. I'm like, guns aren't working. You got to think of something else.
Well, that's one of the coolest things about this show is that you have this monster in every single movie and every single TV show with a monster or a supernatural creature. It's an issue at the end end is always, oh, how do they kill it?
Yep.
And then like magically someone just happens to come up with like the most brilliant idea ever.
Kill the main nerve center and all the monsters will die.
This was not that in any respect. It very naturally feels like how a group of kids, teenagers, adults might go about trying to stop this supernatural force, and the Duffers do it without ever explaining away the monster either, and the upside down too. So I'm very excited about that. However, it does make me very nervous about season 2 because you know what happens when we go to a sequel or a second season, we explain the crap out of something.
That's my question is like, do you want to see a season 2?
And
because they haven't greenlit a season 2 yet.
And they will.
You know they
will, but you're right. They haven't. We talked about this on Nightmares.
And I'm okay with not seeing a season 2.
See, I'm with you, Josh. See, we talked about this on Nightmares.
Yeah, we did this on Nightmares.
But I'm glad we can be spoilery now because for me, it was the perfect ending. That little bit that Will is going to be altered for the rest of his life. That little bit that what did Hop give up to Matthew Modine in order to save Elle? The fact that is Elle even still out there, or is he just leaving the Eggo waffles for good measure? Like all of these beautiful little mysteries.
A local waffle collector.
Indeed. But all these beautiful little mysteries that ultimately can live. It doesn't feel like loose threads. It feels like all of our characters are gonna be okay. And so I just kind of want to leave them alone.
See, I got a totally different... I see that with some of the loose threads that might be working for you, like Elle, where is she? Like maybe she gave herself for the better, to take out the monster and she's gone for good. But it's Will that I look at. Something is wrong with Will. I can't. How can you cough up whatever the hell he coughed up and not be okay? He is some. He had to get up. It's a bug. It's more than a bug, man.
Will is like the Justin Bartha of the Hangover team.
Yes.
Like he needs his due.
Here's the thing. I do not think he just coughed something up and went, well, I'm changed for the rest of my life. Something is going to be going around Will, and that's what I think is the most important thing going into next season, which we will get. I did say you guys were crazy. I'll say it to you too. I don't understand how I have to see a second season of this.
I'm so satisfied.
To get,
me too.
I'm satisfied as
Or make
well.
like an
I get
anthology
it.
series.
That's what I say.
See,
Josh, we're smart.
And I like that, but
You're welcome, America.
They did it so well, I can't not get a second season.
This conversation stresses me out because like on the one hand it wraps up and I'm thinking, a nice neat little ending, things for me to chew on for however long, and then I'm like, oh, I miss these kids, I want to be back in this world, I want my answers. But then just to what I said 2 seconds ago, do I really want answers? I don't want you to ruin. So it's like this vicious cycle. So until we find out whether or not we're getting a season 2 with these same characters, I'm just gonna keep buying t-shirts.
All right. I think that's fair, and I think that's our time. I hate that that's our time, but that's our time. So thank you guys so much for watching. Panel, let's start with you, Perry. Where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at PNemroff, Collider Nightmares every Tuesday, and Best of the Week every Saturday.
Mr. Makuga.
Lone the freeze frame with my name. There you go. Hey guys, I'm Josh Makuga. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Josh Makuga every Monday here on Collider doing Collider TV Talk. Every Saturday on Film HQ on the Comic-Con HQ streaming service and my YouTube channel, The Josh Makuga Show.
And Mr. Mark Riley. Drink your Diet Coke.
You can find me at Riley Around on Twitter and Instagram. Tuesday we'll be back for Collider Nightmares, and on the Schmoes No Main show, I show up every once in a while there, so check it out.
Wonderful. Thank you guys, and you can find me on Collider Nightmares. If you enjoyed this roundtable chat, please check out Collider Nightmares. I promise it won't be too scary, or will it? Surprise. And you can find me at Clark Wolf, Clark with an E, Wolf with an E. Get your Netflix subscription if you don't already have it. Yeah, right. And watch Stranger Things, and we will see you all next time.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.